boys and girls, as a reader, particularly a good reader, and we all want to be good readers, we need to have some strategies to help us become the best reader we can be. So throughout the course of this school year, we're going to learn many strategies to help us become a better reader. And one of the strategies we're going to talk about today is called monitor and clarify. Who's heard of this strategy? Maybe you talked about it last year. Who remembers this from last year? A few of you do. Well, when we monitor and clarify, we do a few different things. First off, what we're going to be doing as we monitor and clarify, we're going to be asking ourselves, do I understand what I just read? Because sometimes we read and we don't understand hardly anything we've read. Or we only remember, or we only understand part of what we've read. Who's ever had that happen to them? They've read several sentences or a paragraph, and they realize they don't understand what they've just read. That can be a problem, right, boys and girls? Because then what's the point of reading if you don't understand what you've read? So here are some strategies to help us with that. So this is what you do. So you ask yourself, do I understand what I just read? If you do not, if you answer no to that question, here's what you need to do. When you don't understand a word, first off, you decode it again. So you try to figure it out, because sometimes it is a word that you already know, but you haven't seen it in print before. So it could be a word that you've heard before, but you haven't seen it. Who's ever had that happen? Yes. So sometimes it is quite often a word that you've heard before, you understand the meaning of it, but you've just never seen it written down. So then you go back, you say it, if you look at it, you try to figure out how to pronounce it. So you go back, you try to figure out the word. You look for context clues. Now we did some context clues last week, and we learned different strategies for the context clues, because sometimes it'll tell you the meaning of the word right next to it. It'll give you a synonym for it. There will be meanings for the word around it. You can try and replace it with another word to see if it makes sense with another word. That is sometimes a very good strategy, to see if you replace it with another word, if that sentence will make sense. Or you can look it up in a dictionary, or if you have the type of book, if you're reading maybe a nonfiction book, there might be a glossary with that book, and you can look up the word in the glossary. And that might help you. Now, let's say you stop and you monitor for understanding, and yes, you understand, here's what you do. You keep reading. Now, sometimes when we are checking and we don't understand a whole section of text, well then we have another type of problem. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make notes about what confuses us. We're going to think about what we already know. Now, what do I already know about this topic? We're going to reread and look for details we might have missed, because sometimes we get distracted while we're reading. Who's ever been distracted while we're reading? I've been distracted while I'm reading. There might be activity in your house. Who's got a lively household? Yes. Some of you have younger siblings, and younger siblings can be distracting. Or there might be, the TV might be on, people might be coming and going, things are happening in your household. We don't live in a totally quiet household, so it's easy to get distracted. The phone might ring, the doorbell might ring, the dog might be barking. All those things can happen, and you might miss something. So you could reread and look for details that you might have missed. You could look at images and text features. So those things are very helpful. They can help you. So if you're reading something and it's explaining something, you could look at the text features. You could maybe look at an illustration or a picture, or there might be some sort of graph, and that will help you as well. So monitoring and clarifying what you're reading is a very important strategy, so you can understand that you're reading. Because otherwise, what's the point of reading? You know what I mean, boys and girls? We want to be able to understand. Otherwise, we might as well just not bother. It's just words then. Words must have meaning for us. It's like, who's ever seen a little like toddler take a book and pretend to read? Yes. Many times you've seen that. Or you did it yourself when you were learning to read. The words have no meaning for them. They're just pretending. We cannot pretend when we're in third grade. We have to understand what we're reading. So that's why we're going to stop, we're going to monitor, we're going to clarify to see if we understand what we are reading. Sometimes we have to go back and check. That is an excellent strategy for us.